Hello, folks. This is Miguel from Embargo Man. So, what today we're going to do is this. So, I have seen videos, and you see the title right there. And let me tell you about all this. I mean, the point of view is comparing two world leaders, right? One from Belgium and one from Japan, right? So, it is what it is. I won't mind about this. First of all, let me tell you about King Leopold II, right? I mean, he is a king from Belgium. And how would Belgium start it, all right? It is just a country in Europe that have been split from the Netherlands, and you people washing out there, most likely Korean prostitutes, being raped. I mean, you Belgium split from the Netherlands. I mean, after all, King Leopold was having an idea, only that he has been helped by Morton Stanley to look and to conquer a country named the Congo, right? Now known as the Republic of Congo, right? That country was all about, all the precious metals. I mean, and ivory and even rubber, right? All these valuable possessions, all right? So there, what he did is he also made his own political propaganda. So the political propaganda is that the people in Congo are treated well, and he call it the Congo Free State. The Congo Free State is that everybody in the Congo is treated well. So they used to lie about white superiority against the Congolese, and then this is from Stanley. It's been helped by Stanley, right? So what's happened with this is so many investigations with the atrocities of the Congo, right? So it is what it is. That you has compared the Congo to, I mean, the tragedies of the Congo is like saying, okay, this is what would be like with Korea when been colonized by Japan in this comparison, right? So you compare that king, so from a state that split from the Netherlands and became known as Belgium, and then they have the police, um, police the force, right? Those are like a bunch of by own Congolese people to if they don't do their work right, they just do whatever they just cutting off limbs, cutting off legs, even cutting off heads, all right? Because they kill them because they don't do the work right for the rubber, right? So George Washington Williams, an American from after the Second World War, was looking at the situation in Belgium. He wrote a report, and everybody and just said the King of Belgium throw everything out. He doesn't want to be seized. But then others came there, like Morel and others, find out what happened in the Congo. What the Congo has did is all these atrocities. In his political propaganda from Leopold II has been, look at this, all these atrocities that have been, joined with people, whoever wants to work with Leopold II to do all these atrocities, from mutilate them to, even if they have brought a museum, and then it's been called the Congo Free State since his reign, and then they just bring it back to Belgium. It was a Belgium territory, but then all and still they're gonna treat people like animals. The Congolese people like animals. You like put them in like a display, like a zoo, like an animal, right? I mean, they treated people like trash, right? And the Belgian government just want to protect the reputation of King Leopold II, then you know why it would happen, right? So even though, especially, I don't know if I do in English, if you understand English, especially from people coming from a country, this is what it is, women's rights being misused. They even say that they're gonna kill them wives, all right, from these Congolese people if they don't do their work right. So this happened to you with the same the situation at the country where you're at. You want to compare this about, I mean, Asian women, if, most likely Korean women, are being raped by pimps. Because, talking about from Congo, let's go to Japan. About where you want to compare um, King Leopold II to Emperor Hirohito. I mean, what's going on in Japan during World War II? What's going on? Well, the same thing, mistreating Korean workers, like the same thing what the Belgium king did with the Congo. I don't know if it's true, but now talking about women being raped. This is like what it is that plenty of Chinese women and Korean women, most likely those two, and yeah, they have women from the Philippines, from Taiwan, and what sort. But this is most likely that this is what's going on is even Korean men rape their own women because, put it that way, Japan was, Korea was a colony of Japan, and now split up, and like this is what it is, right? So for these years, all these protests and the statues of the girl of peace and stuff has been put out in different parts of the world. So this bothers Japan? Yes, it is. They don't know their own faults, along with their Korean comrades. When they fight for Japan, they did the same thing. So this comparison, comparison to the Emperor of Japan to King Leopold II of Belgium. So that stood something because it has been years and people we're talking about, oh yeah, okay, Japan has been forgiven all the atrocities from World War II, and then you try to say there's more than that, more than just the apology, maybe to pay the compensation. I mean, what did Belgium have done too to pay the compensation for the people of the Congo over the same thing? All right, so that is something. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just learning Japanese. Probably have a little bit of hand of the Dutch language. That's why some of you Korean prostitutes living in that country that speak that language are raped. So that ensure that you don't want to speak out, and speaking, for example, that if some people says sometimes quiet, the silence is more louder. People don't know anything nowadays, but today it is loud and clear. I'm saying this, I'm not saying I don't have any hatred towards anybody, no hatred towards whites, but yes, they have done a bunch of wrongdoings, because look at what happened. But I have after I hear a bunch of stories about this guy who is a total asshole. I don't know if you want to compare King Leopold II to Hirohito in your point of view. That means that if you want to compare King Leopold II to Hirohito, go ahead, do that comparison. Probably they might have statues of, similar to the comfort women statue, but of workers, Congolese workers in front of the Belgium um, consulate or embassy. You know what King Leopold has done about, exporting rubber and treating people like trash. I mean, this is very horrific. But in the case with the Japanese soldiers mistreating Korean women, I mean, now that this would be the time for the two Koreas to unite, and with the time for the two Koreas to unite is to go against the mistreatment of Korean women being raped. But this time is by white Dutchmen. White Dutchmen are now raping Korean women, not just from South Korea, but even North Korea too. And this trade or this misinformed, like, put it after this all this nonsense about, or not nonsense, all these protests and manifestations and statues about Japan doing this. Japan is guilty for their crimes. Now a country in Europe is also guilty for crimes, but this time it's just voluntarily. I mean, in 2004, I mean, a bunch of hookers were protesting because they cannot do their jobs in South Korea. So what did they win? They flew out, and when they fled out of the country, they went to other countries. The USA, uh, I mean, they got caught. I mean, at least even Las Vegas. I hope probably the U.S. or were known about assholes in Vegas mistreating Korean women, and probably Holland. Like, these pimps in Amsterdam. I mean, these white men. I'm not saying that they're cool guys, and I'm not saying these pimps are cool guys. These pimps are assholes. And I bet you are silenced being treated by a white Dutch asshole, raping you all the damn time, exposing yourself in the window. People saying, "Oh shoot, oh, yeah, I want to marry this. No, I want to, I want to pay, I want to get it on with this Asian chick." Yeah, those Asian chicks that you see in the window, these are Korean women living in misery, getting raped by their white pimps who are assholes. And then you just say, okay, I'm gonna pay 3,000, 3,000 or $300, all right, like what, to get screwed, have a good time, and then after the pimp goes and, okay, drug them or whatever it is, after going, or probably you already did, after 2004 of protests, they have to go to another country, facing a white pimp, a white man, a pimp. I mean, I'm saying a pimp. Really, I mean, this Dutch asshole raping a poor, defenseless Korean woman. I mean, saying, okay, forgive her for what it does. She has to do what she does do, sell her body, just to get raped by a pimp, getting raped by some Dutch asshole. I mean, If this is just a comparison, yes, Belgium was a country that was split up from the Netherlands. And you have this asshole leopard, Leopold II, treating these Congolese like trash. I mean, this is just a comparison with this. And now, when you want to compare this, you compare King Leopold II with uh, Emperor Hirohito of Japan, putting these two things together. Now, staying, going to Europe to sell your damn body because you can't do it in Korea. I mean, and then you get raped, and then people from the north part of Korea. I mean, if they're getting together in one country, one government, then doing these comparisons between Leopold II and Emperor Hirohito with this thing about look what he did, and now look at us. I mean, you you ladies, look at us. Look at what these asshole pimps did to us, right? The It's gonna be very clear. It's gonna be very clear even when I saw yeah, like a video from we'll try to say about the comfort women situation on Japan's point of view. It was Yumiko Yamamoto. Yumiko Yamamoto said about okay, there were like paid prostitutes during that time, during World War II. What are paid prostitutes at these times? And then you have these assholes raping them. I mean, in that era, I mean, it was like nobody has have a clue about. Okay, look at Korean women being raped, and then the guy is from both North and South because it was a Japanese colony, and now the same thing because this time back then it was Japanese men. In modern times is white men. Nowadays it's just white men raping Korean women in Amsterdam. And now you want to compare Leopold II to King Hirohito, then what else you could do? I mean, I'm doing this YouTube video because I know I'm just comparing. I'm seeing the YouTube video of Leopold. He came from a country known as Belgium that was split from the Netherlands and became his own country. So, I mean, please subscribe to Embargo Man and compare all this. Just compare King Leopold II to Hirohito of Japan on a Korean's point of view, and I bet when you start beginning to begin protesting and begin to expose where you have been mistreated and for have a Korea united, as it was for the help of within Germany being united, being exposed and telling what had been exposed and nobody knows about the truth about Dutch pimps raping Korean women, and this time would be the same what happened with the Japanese. The Japanese were Japanese, but now it is just white guys. I mean, not all white men are bad, but a bunch of white assholes in Amsterdam taking advantages of Korean women being raped. I mean, Korean prostitutes being raped and then mistreated and beaten and probably killed. And probably even been killed because they're not serving whatever the purpose of need. I mean, that is one thing to say, look, somebody look at the window and then, okay, everything, even being exposed, already have been exposed to the propaganda of Leopold II. All right, so goodbye, peace out, see you in the next video, and yeah, I might just do another video about something else because these times nobody knows, everybody covers up, anybody could be full of BS, and I believe it is time to expose everything. Goodbye, peace out, and take care of yourselves.